So let's go on to, if drones are out, what does he say about the rooftops? Because this is important. This is very, very important.
Other people have areas of responsibility. Well, the Monday before the event, we were still working through the arrival. And so we have concerns with rooftops. We got a location that we're not keen with.
Again, location we're not keen with, got a problem with rooftops. Hey, bud, you have to mitigate that as the company making millions of dollars off this contract. You have one job, to ensure Charlie Kirk goes home to see his wife and kids at the end of the day. That is your only job. You could talk to me about all these other jobs you think you have. Those are not true. You have one. Does Charlie Kirk get to go home and put his head down on his pillow next to his bride and to be able to kiss his babies in the morning when he gets a cup of coffee? That is your job, and you failed. You absolutely failed. You could try to blame the UVU campus. You could try to blame the Orem police. You could try to blame all these other people, but you failed your job. And it was preventable, and that's the key. It was preventable. You could have flown a drone. We'll find out in a minute about these rooftops.
We know what our responsibility is. We know what our statutory authority is. We know that we can't go up and set up our guys in sniper observer positions. It's not going to be allowed.
Okay, he just said we can't go set up our guys in sniper observer positions. Sir, you don't need a sniper observer position. You just need to be on the highest building around. And if somebody gets up on a rooftop, you give out the signal, and Charlie Kirk gets evacuated from the stage immediately. He's covered and evacuated, and he's gone. This is not rocket science. This is not rocket science. I've been around these very large events. I've been around these very, very large events where people are on stage and there's 100 or 200,000 people there, and I've been on the wings of the stage and I've seen how the security works. And you know what? Let me tell you a secret. There is a signal to get people off the stage. I'm guessing there was a signal that day. They just didn't use it. They didn't use it because had they had somebody in an elevated position, and it turns out they did, we'll find that out in just a minute. They actually did have someone in an elevated position. They actually did. But had they had somebody in an elevated position who was actually scanning rooftops, Charlie Kirk would have gone home to Erica that night. None of us would be talking about it. You probably wouldn't know who Baron Coleman is because I would still be doing my podcast to friends and family. Instead, you guys have joined. You guys have shown up, showing there's good content in the world. It's just you got to find it.
And so we have some correspondence with the chief of the school on that day, on Monday before Charlie was killed. And why this hadn't come out and why he won't stand up like a man and admit this, I don't know. But he...
Again, blaming the police. He blamed them for the drones. He blamed them for the rooftops and blamed somebody else that we're in this crappy venue. Blame somebody else we can't fly drones and that no drones were in the air. Now he's blaming somebody that the rooftops were uncovered. This is very unbecoming of you as a security professional, by the way.
He's watching a bunch of men lose their careers, and he's okay with it. On Monday before, this correspondence went to Chief Long. Hello, Chief Long. We received this message today from the student group. There is a student roof access pretty close to where CK will be set up at the Utah Valley. The Sorensen Center has a couple of staircases that go up to walkways on the roofs.
Let's pause right there. He's not talking about the Losi Center. The Losi Center is not connected to the Sorensen Center. I will give you a quick look at a map. Let's do that real quick, shall we? Let's get familiar with the campus for just a second, because this is absolutely critical to understanding this text message. A lot of people are misinterpreting this text message, including Sean Ryan. This is the Sorensen Center right here. This is the Sorensen Center. That is a ledge. People are walking around under there. And what he's talking about is you can walk on this ledge right here, this gray ledge. That's a walkway. And it connects to this maroon ledge. And that maroon ledge walks right behind Charlie Kirk and right down over the top of Charlie Kirk. That's what he's talking about in this text message. So he says there's student roof access pretty close to where CK will be set up at the Utah Valley Sorensen Student Center. That is this building right here. Now, the building in question, where Charlie Kirk allegedly was shot from, is this large building right here. This is the Lossy Center or Lossy Center or Lucy Center. I've heard it pronounced 3 different ways this week. This is a totally different structure. This is not referenced at all in this text message. This building is the Sorensen Center and this gray walkway that leads to the maroon walkway that leads to the balcony above Charlie Kirk. That is mentioned. So now that we've got our bearings, let's go back and see what Brian Harpole says that he thinks this means. It's nonsensical. Absolutely nonsensical. Now you can read it.
He comes back, and for edification, the Sorensen Center was the building in front of the Lucy Center. And so he comes back and he says, you want access to the roof.
That's it. You want access to the roof. That's the question from the officer. Do you want access to the roof? I got you covered. What does I got you covered mean in response to, do you want access to the roof? The first one to get it right, I'll give you a shout out. What does that mean? What does it mean? If I say, do you want access to the roof? And you say something? No, it's not no follow-up. It's not covered. What is he saying to him when he says, I've got you covered? What is I have you covered? Ah, there it is, right there. He gave them access to the roof. That's it. Thank you, World in Chaos 2007. That is what he gave them. You want access to the roof? You got it, Bub Scarino. Have at it. I don't care. That's all that happened in this exchange. This little nonsensical, rambling, compound question right here that would be inadmissible in any court of law. If you asked a witness this question, I was told students have access above us. If this is true, it would be nice to either have it controlled access or allow one of my guys to be up there as well if possible. Well, here's the dirty little secret, ladies and gentlemen. They were up there. They were up there. So what is it that Brian Harpole wants the chief to come out and admit? Because we'll find out in a second, Brian Harpole's man was on this exact area he's talking about. There's student roof access pretty close to where Charlie Kirk will be set up. The Sorensen Center has a couple of staircases that go up to the walkways on the roof. Access above us. It'd be nice if we could have a man up there above us. Got you covered. Again, what is he talking about? He's talking about this area right here. Access above us. This is the area right here, this maroon walkway, these squares directly above Charlie Kirk. The chief said, I will give you access. I have you covered. That's all that took place there. And if there's any confusion about what any of that means, then we talked about this earlier. It's incumbent on the person in charge of keeping Charlie Kirk alive to get clarification. It is not incumbent on the chief of police to give clarification that's not asked for. He answered your question. You want access to the roof? Blah, 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 blah. I got you covered. Have it. Have fun. Get on the roof. Have a good time. Now, we will later learn they did station somebody right here. So as far as the chief of police knows, everything he asked for, he was given. It would be nice to have it controlled, and they did control it. They put some caution tape up and made it a temporary criminal trespass zone. It would be nice to have it controlled access. They did. And it would be nice to have one of my guys there. They also had one of the guys there. A Brian Harpole guy. He was up there. So he got everything he wanted. He got everything he wanted. But he is still blaming other people. Baller, this is not their fault. This is your fault. This is your fault. Period. End of story. We continue. And again, he got both. He got controlled access and he got one of his guys up there. So why are you using this to try to defame and slander a good police chief who gave you what you wanted. Oh, I didn't share it. Sorry, guys. Again, sorry. I can back it back up. I'll back it back up a little bit.
At the Utah Valley, the Sorensen Center has a couple of staircases that go up to walkways on the roofs. He comes back, and for edification, the Sorensen Center was the building in front of the Lucy Center. And so he comes back and he says, you want access to the roof? And came back and said, I was told students have access above us. If this is true, it would be nice to either have it controlled access or allow one of my guys to be there as well, if possible. He comes back, and his last correspondence was, I got you covered.
And he did both. And he did both. He gave controlled access to the area above Charlie Kirk, which is all you asked for. And he gave you access to have one of your men stationed up there, which is all you asked for. You didn't ask for police up there. You didn't ask for snipers up there. You didn't ask for drones up there. You asked for controlled access above Charlie Kirk. They gave you that. You asked for one of your men on that roof. He gave you that. Why are we talking about this? You just went on Sean Ryan's show and said that he's not being a man and admitting this conversation. What are you talking about? He gave you everything you asked for. What a slimeball move that was. That poor police chief. Millions of people on X trashing this police chief, all because he gave you everything you wanted.
What else am I to do?
Nothing. You're not supposed to do anything else because he gave you everything you wanted. You know what you're supposed to do, big boy? You know what you're supposed to do? You're supposed to make sure the guy under your protection doesn't get shot. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to make sure he doesn't get shot in the neck. That's what you're supposed to do. The chief is not complicit.
When a command level person from an accredited police department says, I've got this area. Jeez.
Again, he did not say he has the area. He didn't say he has the area. He gave you both things you wanted. He gave you both things you wanted. Controlled access to the area above you and one of your men up there. That's all you asked for. And for you to get on the Sean Ryan show and defame that man who's got a family, who's got a career in Orem, Utah, is just disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And I can't believe nobody's calling this guy out. What a clown. What an absolute clown. What an absolute clown. You go to the chief, you get everything you want, and then you still blame the chief because you failed. And let me say something for Sean Ryan here. Buddy, do you not know how to read a text? You are allowed to do follow-up questions. You have a microphone. You're sitting there looking across. You look very sincere here. You look like you're taking it all in. You're allowed to ask a follow-up question, Sean. What did you mean by that? Let's go through this line by line. What were you asking for that you didn't get? Let's actually use the language, not your interpretation now, looking back that your client is dead under your watch. Let's not do it then. Let's look at what actually was said in the text message. I see. Oh, I'm sorry. Imagine I'm Sean Ryan for a second. Oh, you asked to have one of your men on the roof. Was one of your men on that roof above Charlie? Oh, they were? Oh, shoot. What are you complaining about? Oh, you asked for controlled access also. Surely they gave you controlled access too? Oh, man. What are you complaining about? What are you complaining about? What a clown. What an absolute defamatory clown this guy was. All right. This is probably the limit of lunacy that you're about to hear here. This is hide the ball, obfuscate, tell lies. That's all that you're about to hear right here. This is the rock story.
There was giant rocks that they used for architectural design all around there. And so we're seeing these rocks on the ground, and it's like, oh, people can come by and pick up these rocks and then throw them down on us and throw them down on Charlie. And so we did a temporary criminal trespass zone right above him on that bridge.
Oh, sounds like controlled access. You did a what? What did you do right above him on that bridge?
There was giant rocks that they used for architectural design all around there. And so we're seeing these rocks on the ground, and it's like, oh, people can come by and pick up these rocks and then throw them down on us and throw them down on Charlie. And so we did a temporary criminal trespass zone right above him on that bridge walkway so that people couldn't come in it and throw rocks down on him.
Excuse me, this may be the lawyer in me, but let me interpret this real quick. Temporary criminal trespass. That means law enforcement was involved in establishing that zone. Because Brian Harpole cannot make a criminal trespass zone inside of Orem, Utah. That would require the police. That would require the police. Brian Harpole does not have the ability to make trespass zones. Period. End of story. He doesn't. Which means the police made a temporary trespass zone, which means the police made controlled access above Charlie. That's what you asked for. That's what you asked for before you slandered the cop saying he didn't give you what you asked for. The cop created a temporary trespass zone, a criminal trespass zone. Precisely what you asked for. Now, let me go back to the rock thing here. This is stupid. This is probably the dumbest point he made all night. If you go back to our Google Earth image, these are the rocks he's talking about here. This light tan sandy color right here. These are the rocks. In fact, these are the rocks that Terrell Farnsworth was standing in taking a selfie going, Charlie's dead. Ah. You remember that? You remember that video? In order to get these rocks and throw them down on Charlie, you would have to get these rocks, walk them over here to these stairs, up to the roof, and then walk them down here and throw them down on Charlie. I mean, could it happen? Maybe. But I mean, it's not like people just pick them up and chunk them over the edge. You gotta transport them. These are big, heavy rocks. It's the dumbest point I've ever heard. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of the structure of the environment that you're supposed to protect. We've already caught you slandering the cop, lying. Well, I don't know about lying because I think lying takes a certain level of intellect, and I'm not frankly sure he has it. I'm not frankly sure he has it. But the whole rock thing was absolutely ludicrous. Now, let me go forward just a little bit because we're going to go back to rooftop access here in just a second. And we're going to hear more falsehoods about the roof.
Get less so you can see more.
All right, here we go. Wrong. Rooftops were not supposed to be covered from the PD. The PD did not say, I got you covered on the rooftops. Let me play that again. It was quick, and it was defamatory, and it was wrong.
Get less so you can.
Damn it, I keep forgetting to share. Let me back it up. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. This is amateur hour. You guys deserve better. You guys deserve better. I cannot apologize enough. A few more donations and I promise you, I will hire a producer. And I won't have these problems.
Pare down through that area of responsibility so you can see the things that are going on. And once that's cleared, you move to the next one. But if you're just looking out at the mountainside, all you're going to see is the mountainside.
And the rooftops were supposed to be covered from the police drones.
PD said, I got you covered.
The PD said, I got you covered. Again, class, at the risk of repeating myself, to what did he say he had you covered? Controlled access above Charlie, on the rooftop directly above Charlie. You wanted controlled access. That's that Sorensen Center access you were talking about. And you got it. Criminal trespass zone. We just established that. Now, granted, I skipped about 6 minutes of podcast, but I was able to pick up on it when I watched it the first time. And I was driving. Don't tell people that. Never mind. I was not driving. I was stationary when I was watching it. I wasn't in a car. It was not on the dash. I was obeying every law on the road. But I picked up on it. He gave you controlled access, which you asked for, and he gave you the ability to put one of your men up there to control that controlled access. You got both things you asked for. Here you are, yet again, passing the buck and refusing to take responsibility for the failure on your part and your team's part for sending Charlie Kirk into a death trap. Once again, the police said, I got you covered. Yeah, and he gave you everything you asked for.
Got you covered. Mm-hmm. And so that zone was dropped.
That zone was not dropped, sir. That zone was not dropped. I don't know how that got past Sean Ryan. I expected better of him because he positions himself as some kind of an intellectual. I expected a little higher quality follow-up there.